It's Josh and Derek in the morning.
What is this?
It's so stupid.
Hey.
Hey, 122.
122.
Yeah, the age of
That was a good year.
That
was a good year.
122. The year of 122 was fantastic.
Yes, it was. What happened?
The dinosaurs started figuring out that they could rub two sticks together and make fire.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
it's in the history books.
Yeah, absolutely. So how was your week?
Busy.
Yeah, seems to be a running theme here lately.
Yeah. I mean, well, starting the new business,
Right.
and so it's just a lot of hands-on initially. Like I would say 85 to 90% of the shifts are always covered, but there's still stuff like the other week I went, or Saturday, had to change the oil in the truck, or I wanted to change the oil in the truck because it was going to the pumpkin patch this weekend.
Yep.
Which you saw it at
I did see
Griffin
it there.
Farms. Shout out Griffin Farms. Go see it and buy a bunch of grilled cheeses.
It was really cool.
So I went to go change the oil in the truck, got there, checked the oil. I was like, yeah, it's pretty dark. Need to
time.
change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I put it back on, went to the store, and then I had to go to like 3 different stores to find the oil filter. So get back, let the oil drain out, take the old oil filter off, go to slide the new one in, and it was just like it wasn't catching on the threads at all. It was way too big. And the truck is like, it's got to leave 30 minutes ago. And so I put the old oil filter back on there.
Yeah, you did.
Filled it up with new oil and said, all right, guys,
Head on.
head on. So I had to do that. And then there was like 4 or 5 other things. Or the generator, one of the generators was best. That's like a common theme in my life, is generators being messed up. But I'm going to fix that soon.
Yeah. Be buying new ones.
I'm going to buy one new one. So
Okay.
currently we have 3 generators that run the truck.
Okay.
One, the big generator on the back runs the AC, one grill, and then all the lights and everything in the truck. Another generator runs 2 grills, and another generator runs 1 grill. The problem is they take a lot of power to run. It's
Sure.
like 1,500 watts
Yeah.
per grill.
Yikes.
But I'm going to buy another one of the big generators that we have, and then I'm going to put them to a parallel system.
Okay.
And then everything should be able to run off of those 2 generators in a parallel system.
Really?
Yeah. So you're taking 2 7,000 watt generators, and you're making essentially what would be a 14,000 watt generator.
Okay.
So everything in the truck should run off of it, no problem.
Yeah.
Theoretically. So
I have a 6,500 watt generator.
yeah, which is good for most things. But
Yeah. But not when you're running a
a
grill.
commercial kitchen, yeah, it's a little bit of a hiccup, but that'll be coming hopefully within the next 2 months. Just trying to wait to get like a little bit more capital in the bank before I start pulling from stuff. Like I still haven't taken any profit.
Really?
Yeah, just trying to, because I don't want to take money out and then be like, oh wait, this thing is we need money here actually, or like
Sure.
we didn't get as much profit as I thought we were getting or whatever. So I'm like just kind of
Leaving it all in there.
leaving it all in there,
Yeah.
letting it ride.
Yeah. You kind of need to do that, though, when you're first starting a business, I feel like.
Yeah,
Until you get a cushion built up.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And my cushion is probably a little bit higher than most people who would be in a business like this, but it's also like I'm not relying on that income, and so
Right.
it doesn't mean anything right now. I mean, it will once I start getting a paycheck from it. It'll
Sure.
be like, man,
This is nice.
yeah. But I got to figure out what that number is too. You
Yeah.
know? Can't just start pulling money out and then
Right.
yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, how was your week?
It was great. I got to eat 2 cheese Louise sandwiches for the first time.
Did you get
Actually, I think it was the second time. I think I had one when Lee was running it.
Okay.
But this is the one that I remember. We got the Gentleman.
Yeah.
Is that the
Pulled
barbecue
pork?
one? Yeah. And then Yellowhammer.
Yeah. Chicken bacon ranch.
Yes. So we got those 2. Danielle and I did, and we split them. So each of us got half
Yeah.
of them. It was great.
Yeah.
I like the Yellowhammer a little better.
Really?
Thought I would like the Gentleman a little more, but I love both of them. They're both great. But yeah,
I'm glad you like
it. It was
them.
yummy.
It's not my recipe at all.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you like
And we
them.
got them quick. The service was great, and the pumpkin patch
That's
was
good.
awesome. We took the kids to the pumpkin patch
Were you guys there Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Okay. So on Saturday, that's a good thing that they were coming out quick because they were doing a lot of business. And so that means that the workers were doing a good job.
Yeah,
So,
they were. I mean, I honestly don't know how long we waited because I took the kids to do something else while Danielle did that. But
Yeah.
it was there when I got back, and it was good. Yeah,
good.
delicious food. But yeah, if you have not been to the pumpkin patch at Griffin Farms
Go.
in Vance,
West Block.
West Blockton,
Yeah.
right out there, it's a really cool place. Got a lot of stuff for the kids. They don't have their corn maze this year, which I was kind of bummed about. But they couldn't. They said the corn just wouldn't grow right, so they couldn't do it.
Sounds
But
like
they
that.
put out a thing on Facebook or something, like let everybody know ahead of time. But
Do they have anything to like supplement that, or they're just like?
I mean, they had a ton of stuff there. They had the trampoline with the kids where they strap you into a harness
Yeah.
and you can jump super high, and like
Okay.
they got that. And they had, of course, bounce houses and their zip line, their corn swimming pool thing.
yeah, corn swimming pool.
That's what it is essentially. It's this big old swimming pool filled up with corn.
Yeah.
Like deer corn. So,
Yeah,
and then of course you ride out there and get a pumpkin.
yeah,
So I mean, no, it was great. It was absolutely worth the however much we paid.
yeah. I think it's $50 a person.
Don't think it's that much, but we took my
definitely not that
sister-in-law, my father-in-law, me and Danielle, and then our two youngest kids, and it was like $60 for everybody.
Yeah,
But it was
it's a good time.
yeah, it's great. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Local.
Did you have to wait in line a lot at different things, or was it pretty smooth?
I don't think we waited in line for anything
Okay, good. We had to wait in line for
except
everything.
the trampolines.
Really?
Trampolines we did, yeah, but it was a free thing, and it was strange because on the fence for the trampolines they had a sign that said 3 minutes is $10 or 5 minutes is $12 to jump. And so I was like I'll pay for my one kid to do that. That's not a big deal. But like there was one guy that had 5 kids there. And he's like, I'm not spending $50 for you guys to jump for 3 minutes. But evidently it was free. Like they weren't actually
But
charging
nobody
you.
knew that. So
But if you saw the sign first, like, yeah. So anyway, the line was like, we had to wait like 10 minutes I think, for Addie to jump. And then, dude, it was hilarious. So when they strap you in, they use a winch to lift the kid up, and then like they can jump so they get a lot of air.
yeah,
Well, the winch got stuck in the on position and it pulled her all the way up.
Oh my
and she's
gosh.
freaking out. She's 5 years old. So
Yeah.
she's freaking out, terrified. The workers are like running around trying to figure out how to get it undone. The button just got stuck or something. I don't know exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
And they handled it great. Like everything was cool.
yeah,
But she was terrified. And so we're like, all right, hey, look, after that, we got her calmed down, went and got her pumpkin,
yeah.
and then came back and I was like, Addie, you should try it again. And she was like, And I'm like, come on, overcome that fear. And she wouldn't do it. She ended up not doing it, which is cool. But it was really funny at the moment because I got my phone out and I was videoing. I was just going to video my kid jumping.
Yeah.
And then I realized what was happening. I kept videoing.
Just like laughing the whole time behind the video. Yeah.
She's not going to listen to this, so that's okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, when we went, we did Jason did the zip line, and I didn't think he was going to do it, but apparently they said he got a run-in start because I went before him because I was going to be at the bottom. Meg was going to be at the top, and I was going to be at the bottom. And if he was like start getting freaked out at the bottom, then I could like
Help him out.
console him. Yeah, and I just hear this voice coming through the woods. It's like, woohoo!
That's
I was
awesome.
like, nice.
Yeah, you
So he was just like, can we do it again? I was like, we just waited in line 45 minutes.
So no, but
No, like next year. You can do it next year.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all should take him back for sure.
Oh, we will. We more than likely will. But yeah, talk about a sad week.
Yeah, it's been sad.
It's been sad. I didn't know it was sad until you walked in my house.
Well, it didn't become sad until this morning.
Ah,
And other than that, it wasn't really a sad week. But what we're talking about is Loretta Lynn passed away.
yeah. Dang, Loretta Lynn.
And I know Loretta Lynn from my mom was a huge Loretta Lynn fan.
Yeah.
But obviously one of, I think she's probably the second most popular old time country female singer
Yeah.
behind, of course, Dolly.
Yeah.
But yeah, she passed away this morning. Article said Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter, turned forthright country queen, dies at 90 years old. It says she died while she was asleep in her house, surrounded by her family. So yeah, sad day for the country music world.
Yeah. For sure.
But
do you like country?
life goes on. I like old country.
Okay.
I don't like new country. Most
So-
of what I've some underground stuff is cool,
Yeah.
but
Have you listened to like Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers, a couple of guys like that, Culture Wall?
I think I've listened to a couple of them.
Okay, so they sound exactly like old country.
Yeah.
But they're new country. I think it was Tyler Childers the other day actually is releasing a gospel album. So that'll be pretty interesting to see.
I listened to him for the first time like a week ago.
Really? Okay, yeah. Well, he's coming out with a gospel album. Oh gosh, soon. I saw that it was a TikTok that I saw of a guy talking about it. But yeah, so Tyler Childers, he sings "Feathered Little Indians." I don't know. If you, that's a pretty cool song. But yeah, it was very surprising. I think he maybe has kind of like maybe he's having like a conversion
Okay.
or like a reawakening
Yeah.
of his faith and stuff.
Reconstruction of his faith.
Reconstruction. Yeah. So that'll be pretty cool to see. If you haven't listened to Tyler Childers, people in the audience, I'd highly suggest that you do because he's amazing.
It is good.
Especially if you like old country. If you like old country, this is stuff that it's like, this is not good. Turnpike Troubadours is another one.
Yep. Cody Jinks, is he the one that sings Loud Thunder, Heavy Rain, that song? Because I hate that song, but I liked a few of his other things.
Yeah. Culture Wall is really good too.
Yeah, we went on a 90s country while we were working at riding down to the hunting club
Yeah.
a week or two ago. Got on a 90s country playlist.
Nice.
That's some good. I like 90s
good.
country and back.
Yeah.
I don't really like anything.
Man, see, I'm a weird creature and I like such a wide range of music and like I find the good in the new country, especially like Sam Hunt's new song. Man, it's so good.
Oh, I guess I've.
It's oh man, Under the Bridge.
Okay, I'll have to listen to this.
Have you heard Sam Hunt at all?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, man. Go back to his there's an EP that he was in that he's started
2014.
No, it's maybe it's not Southside. Between the Pines.
Okay.
Acoustic mixtape. That's some good stuff, man.
I'll check it out.
Some real good stuff.
I like some new stuff like Brad Paisley.
Yeah,
I like Brad
Paisley's
Paisley. And like there's some random songs that I like. Like Luke Bryan has one or two songs that I like, but I don't like him like most of his stuff.
Yeah. There's a band. It's kind of like a who's who. The Hot Country Knights,
Okay.
and then Knights is spelled Knights, and it's Dierks Bentley is the lead singer, and it's like old country stuff,
Huh.
but but it's new. It's like a parody band almost too.
Okay.
Like one of the songs is Moose Knuckle Shuffle.
Oh, wow.
You Make It Hard.
The picture.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's amazing, isn't it? USA Begins With Us. Wrangler Danger. Then It Rained. That's such a funny song. Kings of Neon.
The K is silent.
The K is silent. Yeah. Hot Country Nights. The K is silent. It's fantastic stuff. So, man, we just went down a rabbit hole.
Yes, we did. I like it.
Bunch of bands for everybody to go listen to now.
Check out Roger Miller too. If you've never listened to
Roger
Roger
Miller.
Miller, he's old country. He's dead, but
Yeah.
he's saying Milk did a commercial, like whoever sponsors Milk commercials did a commercial years ago, and it was Chug-a-Lug, Chug-a-Lug.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote Chug-a-Lug, Chug-a-Lug. originally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's got a lot of other like Do Wackadoos, another one he has.
Yeah.
Engine Number 9. There's a lot of good stuff. But anyway, I grew up on some Roger Miller.
So we didn't talk about this last week, and it's not on our list for this week, but Furnace Festival was last week.
Yeah. How was that?
It was amazing. I had a Life in Your Way shirt on last week that I wore.
I didn't notice.
Yeah. Well, it's not a super out there, like,
Okay.
it's not a big brazen. But I will say, man, granted, this year's lineup wasn't as epic as I thought last year's lineup was.
Last year's lineup was great.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't recreate that every
No.
year because then like nobody's going to come to it.
Right.
If it's the same bands in the same lineup every year, but one thing that's really cool, if you guys haven't heard of Furnace Fest, is it's a lot of older bands or bands that were around when we were coming through the music scene.
Okay.
And they're really popular back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of just like fall off the map because they're, they start getting lives. They have wives and jobs and kids and families. And but it seems like they come together for this concert, for this festival.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's bands that like, I was talking to my wife and like I never got the chance to listen to this band or this band,
Mm-hmm.
but like now I get to.
Yeah.
And it's also because it's a part of your memories that you were like, I'll never get to do that,
Right.
Because they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ass Cities Burn last year.
Oh my gosh.
I never got to see Ass Cities Burn while they were
Really?
Yeah, and
I saw them
went
probably more than any other band.
Well, so I went when they were going to Cave 9, and it was Maylene,
Ass Cities and
and
I'm
Fixed Till.
Terrified.
Yeah,
Fixed Till Tuesday, whatever it was.
but then they shut that show.
I remember
down.
that. I was there.
Yeah.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
There were so many people that showed up to Cave 9.
There were literally people like laying on top of the crowd, and they weren't crowd
and
surfing.
it was lined up for blocks.
Yeah.
Like
We couldn't get in.
the
We were
fire
just going to
department came
listen
and shut it
outside.
down.
Yeah. I got a picture with Dallas Taylor. That was like my one thing because he was
Nice.
walking on the side of the street, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, let's take a picture." And I almost recreated that picture with him at Furnace Fest because they played.
Yeah.
But like Life in Your Way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my top. Like I have to see these guys because I wanted to so bad when I was younger and never got the chance. And man, it was so cool. And then after the show was over, I went to the tent and I was just gonna buy. I was gonna buy like a shirt or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to sit there talking to the lead singer of the band, and like it was just like we were both reminiscing because it was like, hey, do you remember this venue? And he's like, yeah. Or like we would talk about something that's like. It was a really cool experience, and it wasn't like an awestruck thing, and I hopefully I didn't put that vibe off, but it was just like, man, it was really cool to just sit here and talk with this guy about these songs and about the album and stuff, because some of those songs shaped my life.
Yeah.
And like the Life in Your Way, the Salty Grave, man, it's such a good song. The chorus has the hymnal at the end of it. And it just being able to hear that live, like I almost started tearing up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is something that I thought would never happen.
So if you had to pick one band from that era that was like that had the biggest impact on you, whether it be like as a person, as a Christian, musically, like just however, if you had to pick one band that had the most impact on you, what band would that be from that era?
Gosh, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
There were so many good bands.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
For me, but there's one that stands out above the rest of them. That's Ass Cities.
Yeah.
Ass Cities Burn. That is like they've probably got 2 of my top 10 favorite albums.
For sure.
Yeah. And so getting to see them last year was like you could tell like they're done after this. Like they're not.
Yeah.
Even though Furnace Fest didn't announce that they were going to start doing it an annual thing again until after the festival last year, like you could tell. Even if they did, like Ass Cities is done, they're not coming back. And so getting to see that was like, dude, it was the most fun. And honestly, I got there right as they were starting. So we were almost like, oh yeah, you drove with us. That's right. That's right.
We walked up together.
I forgot about that. But like that was so cool. And so I actually went and bought all their all their albums on vinyl.
Yeah. Life in Your Way released a vinyl for Furnace Fest.
That's cool.
So I've got that on order.
I think, was it Thursday did that last year?
Poop.
Or was it Under Oath?
Nope. They're not a hardcore band.
I thought it was Thursday.
Oh, no, it's not Thursday.
Taking Back Sunday?
Taking Back Sunday. That's the one. Yeah.
I bought a Thursday vinyl.
Okay.
That's what it was. Yeah. I bought War all the time.
We got to see Maylene.
How was that?
Cool. It was interesting.
I heard they had technical difficulties.
Yeah. And so, if you don't know anything about the band, the lead singer had a horrible ATV accident and like almost lost his life, had multiple strokes, can't see out of one of his eyes, has all these health issues from that. And I almost, for a second, I was like, can he just, he can't do it? And so we're faking a technical difficulty? Because it was 3 songs.
That's all they played?
No. They played 3 songs with no vocals. But then everybody, after the 3rd song, everybody's screaming, fix the mic, fix the mic. And then they just went into the next song. And then after the fourth song, everybody's like, this show is not continuing unless that mic gets fixed. And then they were like, the band was like, y'all can't hear him? So apparently they could hear him, but we couldn't hear him. And so I was like, that made it even a little bit weirder because it's like, how is the signal getting through to their in-ears, but it's not getting through to us? Because at first I was like, oh, it's just a mic cable or something that needs fixed.
Yeah.
Right now, hand to God, I can't figure out.
So did they ever fix it?
Yeah, they ended up fixing it. After the fourth song, they fixed it.
How did he sound?
He sounded okay. They had a guy on stage that sounded a lot better than him, but granted, the guy was way younger than Dallas.
Sure.
And
I mean, Dallas has got to be pushing 40.
he's close, yeah. But, I mean, he did a great job especially for everything that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
He did a great job.
Have you? I think I showed it to you, but their merch,
Yeah.
their new T-shirt. Did they have it there?
They did. The Mailing and the Sons of Disaster stunt team.
Yeah.
It's got a guy on a 4-wheeler. Yeah.
I ordered one. I'm
Really?
ready for it to come.
I would have got you one at Furnace Fest. But yeah, I mean, it's still though, like to just be able to be in the crowd and hear that and be a part of that. I was like, man, this is just so
one
good.
thing last year that really I was like kind of annoyed by was there were certain bands, really mainly Under Oath,
Yeah.
but even like there were some bands like oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Copeland and May especially, that like they've gone like just super woke, like He Is Legend frontman was wearing a pink dress.
Yeah.
Like what? But the thing that got me the most of all was like Under Oath. They were like so many cuss words in between songs.
Yeah.
Like to the point where it's not natural. Like it's like you want people to know that you're not Christian anymore. And it's like, okay,
Well-
like we get it. Like we get it. You're not Christians
Yeah.
in a band anymore. Like just
Yeah.
shut up and play though. Like
Yeah. I'm not here for that.
I'm not here for that. Like
Yeah.
I want to
Dance,
hear you
monkey,
play your
dance.
songs, right? And I mean, like if you want to, like if you drop a few cuss words from this, whatever.
Yeah.
That okay, I'm not gonna say anything about that. But like it was over the top. Like
yeah.
you were trying to make sure people knew you were cussing.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
A weird thing that happened this year was the guy who was like kind of singing on stage left, I guess. He was he was the younger guy. I don't know if he's a part of the band or he just decided to play for that show or whatever.
I mean, they only had 2 shows, right?
Yeah, they only had the 2 shows.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this guy was like a guy who was like a tech because he kept going over there and like messing with stuff too. But at one point, he's right up in the mic after like one of the songs and he's like, holy effing S. And then he's like, F, like yelling, like he's like amped up.
The other guy?
Yeah, the
Okay,
other
not
guy.
Dallas.
Not Dallas.
Okay.
But then like after one of the songs, Dallas was like, hey guys, I just want you to know that there's a God that loves you out there, and like goes into that whole thing and it's
Yeah.
like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, that's funny.
He's not even a guy in the band. Like
I noticed one thing that I thought was weird, and that's that Dallas created, I'm assuming Dallas did it, whoever uploaded their song to Spotify.
might have been fixed now.
Is it fixed? Because their Instagram account is still not the verified account, which was interesting. But
Yeah. The new Bury the Witch song
is on
pretty
the
good.
verified account now. Yeah.
I listened to, I think it was a very like early pre-production version of the song, and I didn't like it because of the quality, but I think they went back and mastered it, and it actually does sound really
Why
good.
does it have an explicit tag? Or
I don't
it's
know.
got the E beside it. Where did I see that? It was on the screen before that.
E for everyone.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Yeah, why is that?
I don't know.
I have to go back through and read those. You know who I really want to see more than anybody though? Blindside.
Oh, you mean the band that I saw?
Yeah. Jerk. So they were like one of the first 2 or 3 bands that were in like the whole hardcore
Yeah,
genre.
yeah.
Like for me, like MXPX was the first band that got me away from the mainstream.
Yeah.
And then like Blindside was probably like 3 or 4 bands later
Yeah.
for me. And I love Blindside.
They-
I saw them, fun fact, I saw them on that exact same stage. Did they play the same stage that As Cities played last year?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw them that exact same stage, I don't know, 15 plus years ago.
Yeah.
They played with POD and Zayo. Do you remember Zayo?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
played, that was such a
Was
good
that-
show.
Nah.
That would have been like,
Because I saw
2003 to 2006. Somewhere
I saw
around there.
POD at a crawfish boil in Birmingham.
Okay.
It was like a big thing though.
This
it
was
wasn't
at
like just
Sloss.
somebody's. I don't remember where it was.
Yeah.
I'll have to look back and see. But yeah, man, overall great show.
Yeah.
And and Meg came with me, and she was.
Was she into that music? Okay.
Oh gosh, no.
What was her reaction?
She was happy to be there with me.
Yeah.
But other than that, she wasn't. She thought Maylene was pretty good. She liked that. Blindside started, and Blindside was a lot more. There was a lot more like pit action than I would think.
Really?
Out of Blindside, yeah.
That's cool.
Or so I don't refer to them as Blindside though. To me, they're the Sandra Bullock Scholarship Fund.
I don't get that.
The movie Blindside with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
Wah, wah,
So,
wah.
anyways, great day, great fun. Definitely, I'm probably going to try and go back next year. Maybe even bring the food truck. We'll see.
If you can get the food truck in, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I may try to go. Caden had a baseball tournament. That's why we couldn't go. But I may try to go next year, depending on the lineup.
Have you? Yeah, that's a big thing. Is depending on the lineup because, like, again, like
Saturday's the only day I would have gone this year.
that's There was like one band on Sunday that I would have liked to see, and one band on Friday that I would like to see. Like Norma Jean, I would have loved to see them again.
They were Friday.
Friday.
See, and that's the only band from Friday that I would have wanted to see. But I also
Same.
quit listening to them. Like, I think I got.
Yeah, if they played any of the new stuff, you'd be kind of.
I wouldn't even know.
Out.
Yeah, like they'd have to go. Maybe what's that album after Bless the Mother, Kiss the Child? Whatever that second one is. Like I'd probably know some songs from it, but other than that, like I really quit listening when Josh Goggin left and started the Chariot.
Yeah.
And like now, if the Chariot played, I'm sorry, Caden, I'm gonna have to miss your turn because I'm going to that.
Speaking of fond memories, what's the what do you call the? It's not an ice cream. I guess maybe it is an ice cream,
Okay.
but it's like in a clear plastic container. The Bluebell one is anyway, and it's different like fruits.
Talking about sherbet.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I saying it wrong?
Do you know how to?
I don't know.
Do you know how to spell it? Don't look down.
Okay. So now I saw that,
Yeah.
and that's why I was like, well, am I saying it wrong now?
So say it out.
Sherbet.
Okay.
There's an R in there
Where?
at the end.
No,
In
there's
the way I'm saying it, there is.
Yeah. There's not.
Well,
There's not an R in sherbet. Sherbet. It's sherbet.
whoever created that word
Yeah.
spelled it wrong.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. Yeah. The original of the, yeah. Makes sense.
What's the difference between sherbet and sorbet? Is it just the lack of
A
dairy?
couple of letters.
Fair enough.
I have no idea.
I think it's just the lack of dairy because sorbet does not have dairy in it.
Does
I know that.
sherbet not have dairy? Or sherbet does
I think
have
it
dairy
does.
in it? Oh.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. There's probably some other differences.
Yeah. I have
But-
no idea.
Yeah.
So, let's,
Speaking of Blindside,
yeah.
you know where they're from? Like Norway or Sweden, somewhere around there.
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, speaking of Norway, are you looking it up real quick?
I am.
Blindside. Just make sure.
They're from somewhere. Blindside rock band.
Yeah, I hope they are from somewhere.
They are.
Weird if
I meant
they're-
somewhere overseas, Sweden,
Sweden.
Stockholm, Sweden.
Did you know in Norway
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to knock?
Before you go to somebody's house,
Yeah. To go inside.
they don't have a Second Amendment, do they?
Well, it goes faster if you do knock, but you don't have to
I don't get it.
because if you just stand there,
Mm-hmm.
you just stand there outside the house.
Norway.
It's just, man, that one bombed.
I don't
way
get it.
harder.
I don't get it.
You don't have to knock, but it's quicker if you do. Eventually, somebody's going to come to the door if you don't knock.
Okay.
But it's quicker if you do knock.
Ha.
Yeah.
That was not a good joke, Josh.
It wasn't. I saw it on TikTok and thought I'd try it.
Yeah. Don't do that again.
Anyways, I'm going to be scared to tell any more jokes. Speaking of scared,
Speaking of scared.
so you cannot interject in this story at all.
Okay.
Right? The other night, we come home. I'm sitting on the couch. All the kids are put in bed. It's time to go to sleep, all that stuff. And my wife says, "What is this doing here? Why did you leave this here?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "This knife." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "There's a knife just sitting on the top of the drawer." And it was like a knife that was just rested on the top of the drawer, and the drawer was shut. But it was just laying.
You want to show it?
It was like this, just laying there on top of the drawer. And I was like, "Huh, that's not mine." And then immediately I grabbed my gun and started sweeping our entire house with a gun.
With a broom? Like a broom?
No, with the pistola.
Oh, okay.
Like literally going from room to room. And then Meg's like, "Do you think it could be this person? Do you think it could be this person?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm just making sure right now that there's nobody else in here." Because when we were at dinner, also, we were getting like notifications on our phone that like Presley's room had like motion. And sometimes that happens like with the changing of like day to night.
Yeah. Like shadows. Or whatever.
Yeah. And so I was like, but like, I just don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And so I swept the entire house, swept the attic, everything. And I'm like going from room to room. And that last room that you get to, the last closet.
That's where he is
Heart thumping. I opened the door. There's nobody there. I was like, thank God. But I was like, what? Is it like
so why did you leave the knife sitting out?
I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah.
Who did?
Who did?
Who did?
Who did?
Sorry
Derek?
about that.
Who did?
Thanks for finding my knife.
Yeah,
when did I open my knife?
I have no idea, dude. I don't even know when it was out of your pocket.
I don't either. That's the when. What did I do? What did we do?
It was with Phil.
Phil was here.
Yeah. But I can't think of a single reason. And that's why I was like, it can't be Derek's, because I don't remember us. Like, we weren't doing anything that had to do with any knives. We weren't cutting anything. We weren't doing anything.
I don't know.
So
I got nothing. Sorry to scare you.
it's fine.
And sorry, Meg, who's not going to listen to this, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Which brings me to a good point. Have you ever done like drills in your house without like your kids there, where you like sweep through the house with a gun?
with my kids there?
No, without.
Without my kids there?
Yeah.
Just by myself?
Yeah.
I mean, like once just to try to figure out what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do it all the time. There's a guy named Mike Glover. He does Fieldcraft Survival on YouTube. Really great dude. He's ex Special Forces or Green Beret or Army Ranger or something like that. But he's got some really good videos on sweeping houses and stuff like that. And he said, essentially, you need to know how you're going to sweep your house.
Absolutely.
It doesn't need to be the first time when there's an intruder walking through the door. And he's got some really good videos on how to sweep. In our old house, I'd swept the house multiple times. Like I knew this is where I'm going to start. If I start here, I'm going to go here. If I do this, I'm going to start here. If I do this, I'm going to be here. And it was like I had it figured out to a T. And then the other night was the first time I'd swept this house. And I was like,
grossly unprepared.
yeah. I was like, it was not effective. It was not good.
Coming up the stairs was not fun, I bet.
Coming up the stairs wasn't so bad.
Well, because you've got like that direction, but then also that direction.
Yeah, but you can see far enough back this way.
Oh, can you?
And then once you're coming up the stairs, you can look up. And so I was like, I felt confident enough that there wasn't going to be somebody on the stair. If somebody was in the house, they were hiding. That's what my thought was.
Yeah.
But I was still scared.
What did you use to sweep it with?
My 25,
Okay.
because that was what was right there.
Yeah.
I thought about swapping to the shotgun once I got upstairs and got to the room where it was, but I figured I was close enough range and had enough in the.
So obviously that's a big debate among a lot of even professionals that like should you what type of weapon should you use for home defense?
Yeah.
I personally am just a pistol.
Yeah.
Because it's agile.
It's agile.
Yeah.
So,
it's a lot harder for somebody to grab the barrel of it and not get shot. Like if you grab the barrel of my Glock 19, I'm going to put a hole through your hand.
Yeah.
If you grab the barrel of my shotgun, like you can point it away from you and not get shot. So,
yeah. The Mike Glover has a really good video on sweeping with a pistol and like what you should, because there's some stuff that I hadn't even thought about, like placement and like coming around corners and stuff. He's got some really good insight on that. So you should definitely, I'll send you a link after this. But yeah, so I mean, obviously there's a couple of things that you need to think through too when you're thinking about home defense. because like an AR is going through drywall for sure. It's going through 2 sheets of drywall. It's not stopping. And so when you're looking at something that's home defense, not only do you have intruders in the house, but you also have friendlies in the house. Like you have your family.
Right.
And so if I shoot at an intruder in the hallway, but that hallway backs up to my son's room, it's going through him, through the sheetrock, and could possibly get to my son.
Right.
A 9mm is not going to do that. A
Depends on
9mm is not going to go through. Like they've done a bunch of tests on it at like it was like 7 feet away. Like it's not.
Even with the Full Metal Jacket.
I don't know about Full Metal Jacket, but I do know in just normal instances.
With a Full Metal Jacket, it's the most common round. Like it's a lot easier to get and a lot cheaper to get Full Metal Jackets. That's what most people get. But if you're going to carry, I always carry a hollow point. And so I would see that being the case for hollow point, but that's interesting. I don't know. I've never seen.
This is based on stuff that I've heard from a guy who researched it pretty heavily.
Yeah, and I haven't.
And
so that's I want to look that up.
But yeah, he was, and that was one of his cases for now, especially when it's going through a body, and then going through one thing of sheetrock and then another thing of sheetrock. It's going to get caught or at least lose enough velocity after that second panel of sheetrock that it's not going to cause a ton of damage.
What's his name?
Mike Glover.
Mike Glover?
Yeah, Fieldcraft Survival.
Okay.
But the information on the 9mm and stuff is not stuff that I heard from him.
Okay.
This is somebody else that maybe we'll have on the podcast one day. But they've done a lot of research on it. And so, because I was telling him, like, well, I've got my my shotgun. And then he was asking, well, what kind of rounds do you keep in it? I was like, buckshot, obviously, because birdshot's not going to do anything. Birdshot will pierce the skin, and that's about it.
Right.
Depending on how close of a range you're at.
It's slightly annoying.
Yeah. But it's enough to kill a bird. It's not enough to kill or harm. It'll harm somebody, but it's not going to do any.
Yeah.
So I keep buckshot in that. And then he started talking about, and then I told him I wanted to get an AR pistol for home defense. And then that's when he started saying, well, you got to think about X, Y, and Z, which in my situation, I was ill prepared. It would have made me ill prepared in this scenario where I'm sweeping the entire house. But in a scenario when somebody is like an intruder walks into the house at night, which is when most intruders come in, I'm going to be upstairs and I'm going to be shooting downstairs.
Right.
So I'm not going to be as concerned about
friendly fire.
Rounds going into somewhere where they're not, because everything that I'm doing is going down.
But all your kids are upstairs.
Yeah, all the bedrooms are upstairs, and so I would be posted up probably supine at the top of the stairs.
Yeah,
just waiting. So,
do you have a light on your pistol?
I don't. I had it in my mouth most of the time, and then would swap to my hand for certain things.
Okay,
but yeah,
sweet.
Yeah. Gosh, we've talked about a lot of stuff that is really not on.
That's cool though. It's been organic conversation.
Yeah. Do you know where the term basket case comes from?
I'm going to guess, and you just tell me how wrong I am.
Yeah.
So when they had mental patients, patients with severe mental health issues, they would have to fill their file up, their chart, with so many pages that it got to be too many for one of the little manila folders, so they put it in a basket. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basket case was World War II. They were having so many people that were getting all their limbs blown off.
Oh.
And the only way to carry them around was in a basket.
Wow.
So it's a basket case.
Man.
Yeah.
That's morbid.
Sometimes you don't think about stuff. Get the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about that? So it was a presidential candidate. Oh man, I'm about to botch this for sure now. Okay, here we go. President Henry Harrison, I think. Yep, William Henry Harrison. So William Henry Harrison would go and campaign in all these different places, and he would bring these big metal balls with him, And on the metal balls, it had like different things that he had either done or wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then these guys would literally, when he would go from one campaign town to the other, there was a team of guys that would roll this ball down the streets and go to the next campaign stop because there wasn't an effective way of moving them other than that.
So just get the ball.
So just get the ball rolling, keep the ball rolling. And then actually from that same campaign, a lot of people accused him of being kind of like a redneck, like an uneducated redneck who just, probably just dumb hick, drank a lot of booze in a log cabin. So he actually got with this guy and they started making liquor to hand out at campaigns. And it was a log cabin bottle and it had liquor inside of it and he would hand it out. And the guy's name was E.G. Booze. And so now we refer to booze, liquor, because of this precedent.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So you learn two kind of cool origins for stuff and then one not really great.
What about rack your brain?
Rack your brain. I don't know.
So you've heard the saying rack your brain. So, back in medieval times, they had the rack, which was a torture device. You'd tie your hands and your legs, and they'd separate you until you started talking. That's kind of where the saying comes from. You're racking your brain to try to get answers out of it.
Stretch it out. And, that's crazy. Speaking of crazy, have you heard about this Alabama prison stuff going on?
No, I saw a headline, but I didn't really spend any time on it.
So, most Alabama prisons are for profit.
State or federal?
Yes.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay.
They're for-profit institutions. And so a ton of prisons are for-profit institutions.
Yes.
Because it's cheaper for us to pay somebody else to come in, contract them to run a prison than it is for the state to do it.
Right. They can do it a lot more efficiently.
Yeah. But the prisons are getting a lot of free labor out of these guys too.
Mm-hmm.
And so like do the crime, do the time. And so you're sitting in these prisons. And this was an interesting video that I saw the other day about Alabama prisons.
Castillo Vaughn is going viral for his deteriorating medical condition inside an Alabama state prison system that had to remove his internal intestines because they were starving him to death. Castillo's treatment, by the way, is the norm for all inmates, where both men and women that are incarcerated are treated like slaves in order to make cheap furniture and license plates and like they can sell on Shopify. Like, I'm not even exaggerating a little bit. The purpose of the Alabama prison system is to incarcerate as many people as possible for free labor. Disguised as a work training program, Alabama gets paid on both ends. On the one side, it takes money from the government in order to accommodate inmates, but on the other hand, it uses inmates as slave labor to make stuff to sell to other prisons and big box retailers. That's an office chair. They're selling office chairs. After Castillo's emergency surgery went viral, inmates in 6 different prisons decided to go on strike. They're not making for free anymore. And what did the wardens do? They decided to starve them too. So now they're getting 2 meals a day of this instead of 3. Okay, I exaggerated. Sometimes they get this. And for all the people that are like, oh, I did a little bit of time, my food wasn't that much better than the pictures, just a reminder, they've cut their meals from 3 to 2. 30% of their calories are taken out, and only one of our meals in the morning was cold. The rest of them were hot, like we got enough calories to get us over to 2,000. They're now consuming less than 1,000 every day. Like, for sake, that's just the ends of the bread. Families of inmates have noticed the deteriorating health conditions of their loved ones, and when they complained, this is how the state responded.
Canceling all inmate visitation this weekend and are urging prisoners to update their loved ones with the change. Well, the prisoner stoppages actually are taking place at about half a dozen men's prisons across Alabama. Yesterday, the Department of Corrections announced it is also limiting the number of daily meals for inmates to 2. It claims both the meal limits and visitation cancellation are not retaliation for the strike, but a byproduct of not having enough staff to handle those services without the necessary inmate workers.
Translation, we depend on slave labor so that we can use the profits to hire people to feed them. There's over 122 for-profit prisons in the state of Alabama, and none of them can be investigated for human rights abuses because they're private, and this is the reason why Alabama's so hard up to turn a profit with slave labor. The living conditions for the men and women stuck inside the Alabama prison system were so bad that Wall Street didn't even want to touch them. They didn't care if they were turning a profit. They're like, nah, we're not risking the PR. And there were publicly traded companies like Core Civics that used to own these Alabama prisons that were like, oh man, you guys are taking this too far. We're out of here. Like, for sake, when George Bush Sr. has to file a 126-page commission on how badly women are getting raped inside your prison system, bad, man. I'm actually going out of order. There was so much corruption. I forgot to tell you that all the executives use the money that's supposed to be used to feed the inmates towards like cars and rent and like legal fees. Here, just to close out on how Alabama is codependent on slave labor and overcrowding their prisons, they use the COVID relief funds that they got from 2021 to build 2 new prisons because Wall Street backed out of building them.
Alabama, which happens to have the highest death rate from coronavirus in the United States, is planning to use federally provided coronavirus relief funds to construct prisons.
So the last bit of it was like a little bit. The Young Turk stuff is very liberal and left leaning.
Oh gosh,
but
yeah, they're leftist for sure.
it's just. I mean, it's kind of crazy, ain't it? I mean,
So I'm not going to believe a video without doing some research on stuff like that.
Sure.
Now, that said, it makes sense that, hey, if all of our prisoners that are providing labor to cook in the kitchen and serve the food and stuff like, if everybody goes on strike and quits doing it, we don't have enough paid staff to do it. So like that makes sense. Now, tough. Sorry, don't do the crime. Like you're not gonna get any sympathy from me on that. Now, like, should we feed them? Yes, but I feel like maybe even, hey, why don't we do some kind of setup where I think our criminal justice system needs to be reformed for sure, just like everything in our government does. But I think if you could set it up in some way to where prisoners earn money and you can earn money by doing jobs, whatever. And then with that money, you can buy food to eat. And if you don't work, you don't eat. I think that needs to be the case. Now, again, if there's inmates who are unable to work, cool. Yeah. Like that's fine. We can adjust. But I guarantee you that these prisons would be run a lot more efficiently if these private, I'm all about privatizing everything.
What's to privatize a prison to me is kind of crazy. And I know we're probably not going to see eye to eye on a lot of this stuff, but to me, it's crazy because that's not a good revenue stream. It's like, hey, we're going to bring people who have done crimes. We're going to bring them into our institution, and then we're going to hold them here and feed them and house them and deal with all their problems and stuff. Like, that's to me doesn't seem like a good profit oriented. Like that doesn't seem like a good business. Okay. Other than, all right, now we're gonna kind of do some not slave labor. That's a weird term. We're cheap labor or
free labor.
Free labor. Yeah. And like I just don't know that like you being reinstitutionalized or like your reintroduction to the world after you've been in prison is just like we're gonna make you do like free labor for the next 10 years. Like I don't think you should go into prison to be used for free labor. But I don't know. If it was something that like bettered the community too, like picking up trash on the side of the road, like that's a good use of time. But or like building roads or so, like granted then that takes money away from private companies that build roads, but I don't know.
So in Alabama, I don't know if this is hourly. There are some prisons where they don't earn. But in most prisons, and I think in the Alabama state-owned prisons, they do earn something. It's like 25 cents an hour or something. Like it's not much. But
when you got 30 years.
But then you also, if you take into account, like the average for all states is only, I'm assuming this is hourly. Wages per hour, yeah. Okay, so the nationwide average is 14 cents an hour. And that's for, it says regular jobs, non-industry. Then if you go to jobs in state-owned businesses, and then in parentheses it says correctional industries, it's 25 cents on the low end for Alabama, 75 cents on the high end. And so it's like they're earning money that they can spend at the commissary or whatever they call it.
But like, man, I just worked a whole hour to get a piece of bubble gum.
What else you gonna do? And I don't know that they have to pay those prices.
Yeah.
Like I don't know the whole structure of it, but I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, like we're paying for your housing.
Yeah.
We're paying for your food. We're paying for your health care. We're paying for your entertainment, whatever entertainment you have. Like you did something wrong, and then now you're costing taxpayers money.
Yeah. I think there should be some sort of like, but like to me, you go into a prison and it's like from the start to the end of your sentence, we should be trying to get you better.
Sure.
Like not like,
But you're talking about total prison reform there. We're not talking
yeah.
about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is a whole other
I
conversation.
I think the prison system and judicial system and a lot of it need to be reformed. But to me, it's just crazy to think that like, it's just like I mean, you go in and it's like, here's your peanut butter sandwich, and that's your 2 meals a day, and then hey, you got to go work now, and then like now you're like when's the time where it's like, all right, let's like sit down with you and talk through some stuff or like figure stuff out, and I'm sure the
They
people
have
that
that
are
time.
I'm sure the people that are in the prison too are like, man, I've seen too much of this already, and like I just don't care anymore. Like the people that are going through that stuff. But I don't know, man. I think there should be a big prison reform, and it just, to me, it stinks that like these people are getting treated like. Granted, they did something like so. Again, a lot of people's viewpoints comes back to like things that like happen to them personally or like to people that they know. And like my dad was in prison, and like he got a pretty harsh sentence for what he did. Yeah. And he worked essentially slave labor while he was in there. And it's like, granted, I think it kind of shook him up a little bit. And then like once he got out, he was like, oh, well, I definitely don't want to go back there. So it helped him in that sense, but it's like just to like, and that's like even when they do the stuff at Highlands where it's like, hey, we're in this prison or we're in this prison, it's like, man, if my dad would have had that, like if that would have been in place when my dad was in prison, like, man, maybe he would have had like an easier life as soon as he got out and stuff.
Sure.
But like, I mean, I don't know. It's all circumstantial for me because it's like when I see somebody that's like going through stuff like that or like being treated like that, it's like, man, that could have been my dad.
Right.
That's like being treated like that. And like, it's like, how would I feel if it was my dad? Like, granted, yeah, he did something wrong. These people that are in prison probably did something wrong. And it's like, but like also, they're still human. Sure. We still got to treat them like humans. But that's my whole thing on like that entire video. Like that video is super left leaning, super like, I'm sure it's super biased in every regard, but it's still like,
And I doubt very seriously that everything in there is factual.
probably not. I mean, I haven't done enough research on it to like be able to go, oh yeah, this is like this, and this.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of stuff over the years about how deplorable Alabama prisons are. It makes me realize that I definitely never want to go there.
So there's something to know too. So there's different prison systems. There's the state prison system, and then which is the Alabama Department of Corrections, and then there's the federal prison system. So it really depends on really what judge tries your case, if it's a federal judge or if it's a state judge.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of state prisons like whoever it is, the commissioner, I think is what he's called, is over all the state prisons.
Yeah.
Like he's very pro Highlands. Like he wants the church to come in because he sees the work that we're doing. He sees the improvement in the morale of his inmates, and he sees like just everything is better when they have somebody, an organization coming in and pouring into these
Yeah.
inmates. And so,
Which I think is the church's job anyway.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I used to be on the correctional ministry team at Highlands. I served in the Tuscaloosa campus. I didn't actually go into, I went into the local jail, the Tuscaloosa County Jail.
Yeah.
For a few months, but I never actually went to one of the prisons. But the commissioner, whatever his name is, has opened up every prison in the state of Alabama that's a State Department of Corrections prison. He's opened them all up to Highlands and said, if you go to all of them, you want to. And so where we are able to build teams, they're sending people in. So I think does it need some work? Does the prison system need reform? Absolutely it does, but so does almost every facet of our government.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm so anti expanding the government, because the more we've expanded the government, the more things have gotten screwed up.
We haven't had checks and balances in place.
Absolutely. You go to Social Security, like it has been a complete cluster since it started. It originally wasn't supposed to be mandatory. Now it is. And it's going to be, we're not going to receive Social Security benefits. Like, that's more than likely we won't get those. Our kids definitely won't, despite us having to pay into it. And then if you look at other things like the prison system, like the healthcare system, like anything the government touches just turns to crap.
Yeah.
And so I'm all about, let's take it away from the hands of the government.
Yeah.
Certain things can be regulated, but I think I would rather err on the side of too little regulation than too much regulation, because too much regulation makes things way more difficult, way less efficient, and way more expensive.
Yeah. Well, so I would say that I agree with, like, there are a lot of things that the government gets wrong, for sure. I think a lot of it starts out as being well-intentioned, though, and then the intention gets skewed by corruption or by lobbyists or whatever. But the other side of it is like, okay, well, let's take the government out of it and let's put private businesses in charge of some of this stuff. And it's like, they're kind of like, some of those are worse with corruption and it's like, okay,
some things are.
How can we make a profit and how can we do that? How can we make the biggest profit for every dollar that we're putting in, we want 5 to 10 back. And it's just like, okay, that's going to lead to a lot of sketchiness too, to me. And that's why
it can. But I think if you have somebody like an inspector who is there, and rotate that person out so that they can't get bought out. But however you got to do it, but make sure, and I'm sure that there is somebody from the government going in and inspecting these prisons.
I would hope so.
To make sure that stuff's not happening.
Yeah.
That guy made it sound like, oh, they just throw money at it because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
The state just gives these corrupt capitalists money, and then they go in here and make free slave. No, dude, that's not the case at all. It is regulated, it is guarded, it is they have to pass inspection by the government. And so,
there was a interesting video that I saw a couple years back that was talking about Alabama and how many bridges we have in Alabama, and it was some ungodly amount, because you think about every little culvert and all that stuff. Let's see, I'm gonna Google how many bridges. Not Bridget Jones. How many bridges are in Alabama? 16,164 bridges for the state.
if you count bridges over culverts, I would imagine that'd be a lot higher.
Probably so. But how many bridge inspectors does Alabama have?
Like
I think
3?
It's and that's what it was 90. There's 90 bridge inspectors.
So it's 16,000 divided by 90.
A lot. 177.
I mean,
But
they do one a day.
It's just, that's crazy to me though.
Mm-hmm.
We have that many bridges, because there's a lot of stuff that goes unchecked, bridges and stuff, and it's because we haven't got around to that one. We went to this one, and then I'm sure hey, we inspected this bridge, and it's faulty.
Mhm.
Okay, so we can't like keep inspecting. Like we have to focus on this bridge and like go out. But it was like whatever the video that I saw. I can't remember what video it was, but it was like just continuing to talk about like how deplorable Alabama's bridges are and like how many of them are like in dire need of repair, but like just don't get inspected because like they don't have time to inspect them. It was interesting. I don't know.
I have a theory,
Yeah,
and it is that
no
TikTok,
more bridges.
It is that TikTok is out to spread a lot of incorrect information. I'm not going to call it
Yeah.
one of the buzzwords, misinformation or disinformation, but
Yeah.
a lot of incorrect information both ways
Okay,
to divide the American people.
could be.
I have it's a theory that I have.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Never know.
You never know. Where are we at time wise?
We're right on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a
So-
story for next week.
Okay.
It's about sheriffs.
Sweet.
But cool. Awesome.
All right.
Well, guys,
Yeah.
thanks for listening.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. It was an organic episode. I enjoyed
very
it.
organic. I
So-
don't know how much fun it was for the listener, but it's
Maybe
very
not.
organic for us.
It was a lot of fun for us. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.